All right, guys, welcome back to the Southern Maryland Showroom podcast. We're here at our new studios once again, here with my buddy Dylan Workman, one of the finance directors over there at Waldorf Honda. And today's topic is going to be, we're going to take some of the mystery out of what goes on in finance. I know for some new car buyers and some of the older car buyers, buying a car in today's market can be kind of scary just because, the future seems to be uncertain and everyone seems to be holding on to their coins. So without further ado, I'm going to get my buddy Dylan involved, and we're going to start lifting the veil off of what goes on back there in finance. So Dylan, welcome to the Southern Maryland Show. I appreciate you showing up.
Pleasure to be here.
So you've been a finance director. Well, why don't you do me a favor? Why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself, so
Okay.
for those who don't know you as well as I do, get to know you.
All right. So I've been in the business since January of 17. Started as an intern, went in sales with you for a little while. In 19, I started interning in finance, and then in 2020, when I graduated college, I was full time.
And then that's when you started finance?
Yes, finance manager in 2020, May of 20, and then director as of January last year.
Oh, congratulations, man.
Thanks, man.
Good stuff. Again, I've known this young man for a lot longer than his tenure at the dealership. I would say if I had a little brother, he's probably close to being close enough being a little brother. So I'm glad to see that you've advanced. And so with being in finance, I know you see a lot of stuff. Like, the sales front, the front end of it is one thing, right? That's one hurdle. But once it gets back to you, it could all crumble back there.
Sure.
Right. And without someone who knows what's going on back there, it can be scary. So let's just start at the beginning. So just what happens, right? What happens back there when the person commits and says, okay, I'm buying a car, and they're sitting out there waiting for you? What are you back there doing in preparation for this customer to come into your office?
Yeah. So first thing is obviously agreeing to terms up front, right? Base numbers. And then, we get in finance. What we're doing prior to that is we're getting everything with the bank, and usually we make sure that we have an approval before we even say, let's move forward. But we get you an approval, usually a couple approvals. So that way, if something doesn't work out, we've got another option, whether it's you're going a little bit longer term or, different rates and things like that.
Giving us some options.
Yeah. So usually we'll do that. We'll find the best one. We'll sit down and we'll say, hey, we've got this rate, whether it's requiring money down or not, depending on the situation, depending on credit and other things. But getting an approval, that way when you get in that seat, we've got something to work towards, so that way we can get you in a car.
So when a customer comes back there, there's several different options. It's not just this is all you get and take it or leave it.
Depends on the situation.
I would say it depends on the situation, but in most cases, you guys try to provide options for those people who come back there.
Sure.
With the experience in here recently myself, the technology that you use. I know when I started in the business, and I don't want to say how long ago that was.
Myself a little bit.
But when I started in the business, all of this stuff was done like with pen and paper.
Right.
Right. So now when you take a look in the finance office, explain some of what, the customer will see, because for someone who hasn't bought a car in 25 years, 20 years, they're going to be a little shocked when they come in there and, it's like a Star Wars command center in there.
It's honestly some of the fun. And people, especially, people that haven't bought a car in a while, get in there. Because this is how I started. I started with the DocuPad, the computer. I never had to do all the paper. We had the old microline printer for a little bit. Mine died last year, so we got rid of them all. But yeah, no, the DocuPad is fun. Some people hate signing on there and doing it. Other times it's like a neat thing, like you said, kind of, Star Trekky, Star Warsy, where
it's very
something
new.
new.
It's very different, especially for somebody like, I can only imagine like some guy who hasn't bought some 75-year-old guy who hasn't been in a dealership. Has that ever been an objection? Like, I'm not doing it. Has anyone ever?
Yeah.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, but we usually get through it. So, you have the option to sign electronically. You don't have to. So worst case scenario, I could, and it's more of a hassle, I guess, but I could print it all out and then we could do it all on paper. Otherwise, same process.
Okay.
I still do everything on the computer, and then I just print it that way.
All right. So for someone who's thinking about buying a car, and again, we're trying to lift the veil, so make it less scary.
Sure.
In preparation for purchasing a car, let's say, let's pick a couple of different buyers. Let's say the person who's first time buyer. What's something that they should do to prepare themselves to enter the car market?
I mean, the best thing you can do as a first-time buyer or just having, like, little to no credit is, establish yourself in some sort of a way, even if it's not a lot, 'cause a credit card, having a good score on that doesn't necessarily equate to somebody who's had credit for 50 years and is established, but it gets you a score, which is gonna help you out with rates and how much money you have to come up with and those kind of things. So, get yourself started, and I guess this is before the car buying
Mhm.
process, but, come into it with money down if you're a first-time buyer, because you should be expecting that. Um, and then just making sure you have all your documents because you don't wanna sit there all day.
They
That
can
can
hold
happen.
things up.
Yeah,
Okay, now let's move to, like you mentioned, someone who has established credit.
sure.
Um, is there I mean, most people who have established credit, and they've done this several times, this isn't their first rodeo. So
Right,
again, that I don't think alleviating fears for them is the biggest concern. I think it's more so the people who haven't done it in a while, like
right.
I won't say older people, but people who haven't done it in a while,
Sure,
and new buyers.
sure.
Um, what is some advice that you could give to people who may have a little less than perfect credit, within, trying to buy a car, and maybe, but whether it be new or used?
Same thing. I mean, they say cash is king. It is. I mean, it helps with interest rates all day long. Getting approved, especially if like income and those kind of things are a factor. Challenge credit or slightly less than perfect credit. Money's good. Um, sometimes cosigners having a good cosigner is not necessarily a bad thing. You guys are building credit the same way you would as if you didn't have a cosigner. And I think that's a lot like what a lot of people want to get away from, or they have this like stigma in their head about you don't want somebody to cosign for you. It's not necessarily a bad thing. You're still building credit. You're still establishing yourself. You're still helping your
Right.
situation.
Right. So it's helpful. Some of the other things that I think about, like, when I watch people go back there into the office,
Mm,
like, and this was always something as a sales guy, I was like, "Oh, man, what's taking so long?" Right? That question. And I and this is what I think, but you can clear this up for me.
mhm,
You guys move as fast as the customers make decisions,
right.
right? But at no point are you back there, like, pushing people under the gun to make these decisions, which is
Mm,
why things could take
right,
because you're constantly explaining things in
right,
a step-by-step process, which
right,
I think is, which is good. It just kinda helps, again, alleviate that feeling of being pressured
right,
because of in all my years, honestly, I've seen very few people come out of that office because they said they felt pressured,
right.
right? I think we do a really good job of, explaining things to people.
Yeah.
Um, what are some of the things that you would tell people not to do, right, in that finance office?
Not to do.
Yeah.
Man, I don't even know where to start. Uh, Not what not to
It
do.
would not
I mean, okay, if you wanna get in like, if you don't wanna be there all day,
mhm.
that's I mean,
That part, like
ultimately, it comes up to you guys, right? Because we'll go over the couple options that we got, and we'll do the best we can to help you make a sound decision. Again, I think all of Cody's group doesn't yeah, I think we do a good job of not pressuring people and doing those things. I mean, at least the Waldorf Honda, and I think all Cody group in general, that's all I can speak on. But, yeah, I mean, what not to do is just, don't I mean, the more people that you bring into the mix, make it find out what you're comfortable with doing up front and then where you're able to bend and whatnot. Because when you get in that office, things might change a little bit,
mm,
whether you decide to do this or add this, whether you want a gap insurance or something else. Your idea might change by a couple dollars.
so as a professional, right,
Yeah,
and you've been doing this for a while, what are some of the products that you highly and again, not we're not again, accidents happen, things happen,
sure.
and it's like I've seen people, I don't wanna say take advantage of tire and wheel programs,
Yeah.
but these tire and wheel programs absolutely come in handy, uh, when you need them, when you least expect it. A nail, things happen. What are some of those items that you feel are are must-haves? Look, guys, I know you don't wanna spend a whole lot of money, but these are must-have
Yeah.
items.
Yeah, so and you see a lot of it on the service side now. But yeah, so we'll start with tire wheel since you mentioned it. That's not a bad thing to have because if you get, a wheel or, whether it's curb rash or a hole in a tire or whatever, it's something you gotta take care of. It's not like you can just ignore it.
You can't ride around on your donut.
No, it's not gonna happen. So it's something you gotta take care of. They make good plans. We have what's called the Waldorf protection, which all our stores participate in. It gives you the tires, rim, ding, dent, windshield, all that stuff. And really, that's I suppose that's more so not even what I go over, but a good product to have. The 2 biggest things that I think are, depending on how much equity you have, how much money you're putting down, gap insurance is always good. If you're putting down 20 grand and the car is only, 30, you're not in a situation where you need gap insurance because 'cause you've got so much equity in the vehicle.
So for those who explain gap, because a lot of people will just say they understand what gap is, but I don't like a lot of people don't understand what gap. What is gap insurance? Explain.
Yeah.
Just give us a quick rundown on it.
Gap insurance, guaranteed asset protection. It's basically covering the difference between what you owe on a vehicle and what it's worth. So if a car is worth, hypothetically 20 grand, your car is valued at $20,000. When you total that vehicle, the insurance company says, hey, here's 20 grand, but you owe $25,000 on that car. If you total it, the insurance company does not care that you owe 25 grand on it. They're going to give you 20 grand, which means you're upside down or you owe 5,000 to the bank. With gap insurance, they cover that difference, whether it's 5 grand, 10 grand, depending on the gap insurance. Honda Care will cover any difference. Somebody like Navy Federal, for example, only covers up to 125% with gap. So those are things to
Okay.
to
So there's
consider.
some differences and some nuances
Yeah.
to who provides you with
Yep.
your gap insurance.
Yep. But negative equity, gap covers negative equity.
All right, right on. So that is important because no one wants to buy a car, have an accident, and it's not operational or it's totaled, and you still have to
So I got payments on it.
you still have payments on it. That's not fun. Um, how much has technology been a factor? Like, are you seeing a lot of like people coming to the table with like, oh, I already have my finance set up,
Yeah.
right? This is that because that was not a real big thing. People would show up, they would have a check from a credit union or they would have a pre-approval, but that's something like they would have to go to an office, communicate with a person. But now someone can just get on their phone, bleep,
Yeah.
bleep. Now they've got
Happens in the office all the time, actually. So we'll have an approval for you. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be a cash transaction for us. Maybe it was financing, but maybe you didn't like the interest rate that we had for you. So that you've got so and so credit union. You can apply on your phone half the time. I know, like Navy Federal, for example, people do it all the time. Whether or not we're better, that's one thing, but you can access all that stuff almost on your phone. I've sat in the office and talked to the Navy Federal agents while we're in there trying to see if we've got something better interest rate wise than they do, and figuring that stuff out, finding out how much they'll lend and those things.
well, Dylan, I just want to say I appreciate you taking the time because this is a work day for you as well.
Yeah, it is.
You got to actually go over there and do some of this stuff that he's been talking about. Hopefully, this has taken a little bit of time to alleviate some of the stress that some of you guys who are thinking about getting a car or someone thinking about getting a car. It's not a scary process. Dylan, again, thank you for showing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate you. If you're looking for a car, come on down to Waldorf Honda or any of our stores. Again, thank you for checking us out. This is episode 5 on our way to episode 10 so I can get Andy in that seat. You guys will see you next time.
Thank you.